Welcome, everyone. My name is Ana Arellano, and I'm an advisor at the UCLA International Education Office. Today, I'll be leading the study abroad for psychology, psychobiology, and cognitive science majors, and this is part of our Global Learning Opportunities Week. During this week, we are showcasing a number of study abroad related resources, opportunities, as well as funding for study abroad. At the International Education Office, you can consult with our study abroad advisors, our coordinators, and we can connect you with peers who have studied abroad themselves if you want more of a student perspective on a program or just about the overall study abroad process. This morning, we will provide more information on COVID-19 and where study abroad stands as of today. We hope you had a chance to view our Study Abroad 101 webinar, but we will also be providing some 101 refreshers. We will explain more in depth how to study abroad in your major, provide you with some sample programs, and finally, we will close off this session with the Q&A, as well as student returnees sharing more about their study abroad experience. So study abroad and COVID-19. For today's session, we primarily want to highlight that after an 18-month break, we finally have our fall 2021 programs running in person, and we expect the following terms to also run in person. If you'd like to learn a little bit more about the safety precautions that the UC system is taking, we would encourage you to view our 15-minute presentation that's on our Glow page for more about the COVID precautions during this time of study abroad. If you need to renew or apply for a passport, we would encourage you to begin that process sooner than later. The State Department does have a backlog in applications, and that's roughly taking about 4 to 5 months to be able to renew or receive that passport. So just make sure you're getting started on that sooner than later if you are planning to study abroad. So some study abroad 101 refreshers. In our 101 webinar, we covered topics such as the different programs that we offer, how credits transfer to UCLA, the cost of these programs, as well as how to fund them, the application process and the timeline, among other general topics. Complementing this 101 session, the one we're having on right now, will focus on major guidelines. We will highlight specific programs that meet the theme of the session, so psychology, psychobiology, and cognitive science majors. We will share some returning advice, and we will conclude with a Q&A session. We've intentionally split the two of these webinars to make them more digestible. If you missed the 101 webinar, please look over that recording on Glow. Here are just a few refreshers of that webinar. First and foremost, UCLA students can experience many types of study abroad opportunities. There is not just one type of study abroad, and there is no one set time for everyone. We offer different programs such as university immersion programs, which is the traditional exchange student model where you enroll in the local university, you're being taught by local professors, you're with local students. We have UCLA faculty-led programs, which are short-term programs led by UCLA professors during the summer. There's non-traditional opportunities where you can intern or research abroad for academic credits. These are just a few, but there are a dozen of other types, and we explain more in detail about those during our 101 webinar. We'd also like to highlight one of our new resources on our IEO webpage that is meant to help you choose your program. It presents a summary of our program options, a series of questions meant for you to consider programs based on your study abroad goals. For example, based on those goals, are you looking into programs based on satisfying degree requirements? Is it just going to Chile? Is it professional development that you're seeking? Are the housing options available on the study abroad programs important? So we recommend this resource if you're looking into more than one program and you're trying to assess which program may be the best fit for you. For financial aid, as long as you continue to be eligible for financial aid, yes, you can receive financial aid to cover the cost of your study abroad program. There are dozens of scholarships that are available. Generally, they won't cover the entire cost of the study abroad program, but they're meant to chip away at the cost. So these are robust topics, and we have sessions for both financial aid and for scholarships. For those looking to learn a little bit more, go ahead and view our Glow page for just more topics specifically on financial aid and scholarships. If you're interested in going abroad, students should plan ahead and begin applying 6 to 9 months before their intended departure. Generally, for most of our programs, as long as you meet the eligibility requirements and submit your application on time, you should be going abroad on that program. We do, however, have programs that are limited space, so we would encourage submitting applications sooner than later. If you are interested in going abroad for the summer or fall of 2022 terms, most of our applications are now open. You can view upcoming opening dates and deadlines on our our ieo.ucla.edu/calendar deadlines page. That gives you all the deadlines and open dates for all of the IEO programs that we offer. And now to talk more about studying abroad as a UCLA psychology, psychobiology, or cognitive science major, with us today we have our undergraduate advisor, Dylan, from the Department of Psychology. Welcome, Dylan.
Thank you, Anna. Hello, everyone. My name is Dylan Sarnowski, and I am one of the undergraduate advisors for the psychology department. And I'll be talking more about how to study abroad and how those courses apply to your major requirements. So just a little note before I get started here. Students are not necessarily obligated to study in their major. There's a lot of different options for like requirements that you can satisfy for your degree through study abroad. A lot of students take courses towards their major, but some students will take courses for either like GEs. Sometimes if the student is doing like a language minor or you know, just like a different minor, they might take courses for that. Some students will study abroad to satisfy their foreign language requirement, or for students in engineering, they may go to satisfy their tech breadth requirement. There's also, you know, just like taking courses for units, as well as, you know, personal and professional development. So there's a lot of different ways to kind of make progress towards your degree. A lot of programs aren't really designed around a major, but if you do want to study abroad in your major, we do have different policies depending on which specific major you are in the department. And so for taking courses abroad to apply to the major, the main idea that students should know is that students do need to petition courses with our office. And the main thing that you'll need to petition courses is the course syllabus. A detailed course description might also work, but our office typically prefers the syllabus just because that'll give us more information about the course. And so now we'll talk about when to study abroad based on your major. And this is mostly based on the deadlines for each major for completing the major preparation requirements. So if you're a psychology major, our recommendation is to study abroad after being admitted into the major and after being declared major standing. So for psychology, the deadline to complete the preps is by the end of fall quarter of third year. So our recommendation would be to go after that. So students could go either in like the spring semester, summer after their third year, or sometime during their fourth year. And for psychobiology, there are options for completing the physics series during the summer abroad, which you could do after your first or second year. If you're interested in taking courses for the major, then we would probably recommend going after declaring major standing, which for psychobio is by the end of fall quarter, or I'm sorry, by the end of summer following your third year at UCLA. So that would mean, you know, if you wanted to take major courses, like upper division major requirements, we recommend going in your fourth year. And that's just because, you know, with all of these deadlines, we are really strict because we do have a very large student population. So we just wouldn't want like a study abroad program to potentially prevent you from pursuing a major. So you'll definitely want to focus on like completing your major preparation requirements before studying abroad. And for cognitive science, kind of similarly with psychobio, we recommend that students study abroad after being declared major standing. So for cognitive science, that's also by the end of summer after your third year at UCLA. So that would mean going either after your third year or sometime during your fourth year. But yeah, basically, generally our recommendation is to study abroad after being admitted into the major. And so now I'm going to talk a little bit about major academic plans. And so basically these are guidelines on how to receive credit towards the major. And so each of our three majors has a different major academic plan. Generally, for these, they'll kind of reiterate what I've just gone over. So for psychobiology and cognitive science, you'll need to basically like petition most courses if you want to apply them to the upper division major requirements. For psychology, the same process applies as well, but for psychology, it's a little bit more open if you're just taking courses for the elective requirements. For the psych major, students can take elective courses, and as long as they come in as a 4-unit like upper division psych course, there's no need to petition, they'll automatically count. But if you wanted a course to count in place of a specific requirement, like in place of like a specific course here at UCLA, then you would want to petition that with our office. For psychobio and cognitive science, because those majors are a little bit more specialized, we do require that all study abroad courses be petitioned with our office.
Thank you, Dylan. Just as a reminder to our attendees, if you have any questions for myself or for Dylan, please make sure to enter them into the Q&A chat and we will get to them shortly. So now we would like to show you some sample programs that are available to you at our office, International Education Office. So we'll begin with our UCLA Travel Study Program. These are faculty-led programs. They're 3 to 5 weeks during the summer, so they're with UCLA professors. And for example, on screen, we have this program of In the Footsteps of Hans Christian Andersen. Students who travel to Copenhagen for 4 weeks. They will enroll in 2 courses, so Scandinavian 50W and Scandinavian 143C, and they can make progress towards their GE or their writing 2 requirements. We have our Renaissance and Modernity course in Rome, Italy for 4 weeks. On this program, students can enroll in 2 of the 3 courses, and they will be making progress towards their GE, their diversity requirement, and they can always also make progress towards a foreign language course with that Italian Rome beginning course. On our global internship programs, so the Study Abroad Office, we develop an internship program for academic credit. While there's no program designed specifically for psychology major department students, if you are interested in global or international affairs, you can still participate on this program. The Global Affairs internship includes locations in Bogota and Medellin and Buenos Aires. We do also have virtual options. That's something you're considering. You are expected to be on site for 8 weeks during the summer, and you will receive credit for the International and Area Studies internship course. And if you're interested, you can also enroll in an intercultural communication course. Placements on the global internship include global health, law, economics, nonprofits, advocacy groups. We have limited urban planning options as well. So that's something you're considering. This is a great way to earn UCLA academic credit for internships. Lastly, we have our UCEAP programs. They are available during the summer and during the academic year. If you're considering any programs during the academic year, UCEAP is our only IEO offering for academic year programs. So quick examples, we have Yonsei University. It's available during the summer, fall, spring, or year. Students can make progress towards their major, their minor, and GEs. Sample courses include developmental psychology, social psychology, and work and psychology, which is an important factor nowadays. We have the University of Sussex, also available during the summer, fall, or year. Students can also make progress towards a major, minor, or GEs. Sample courses include abnormal and clinical psychology, drugs, brain and behavior, or psychology in education. Another one focused specifically in the psychology department is Maastricht University, available during the summer, fall semester, or the spring quarter. There's major, minor, GE options available. Sample courses include Going Dutch or medical ethics, psychology and law, hormones, the brain and behavior, as well as evolutionary social psychology. So these are just a few options that students in the psychology department majors have studied abroad in the past, so there are dozens others, and we're here to help you learn a little bit more of those if you are interested. Another program that I do want to highlight is for UCEAP is the Made in Italy Florence program, which is, as we mentioned, you're not only geared towards studying abroad in your major. If you're looking to fulfill GEs or foreign language requirements, programs like these are designed for that, different experiences. So with that said, I would now like to transition over to our student panel. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. And that way we can go ahead and begin. Awesome, there we go. Good morning, Garija. Thank you again for joining us today. Before we begin, can I go ahead and just have you introduce yourself, your names, your name, your program, the major at UCLA, and your pronouns.
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Garisha. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I graduated from UCLA in 2020 with a major in cognitive science. And I was in the Florence program, the Made in Italy program, as you see on the screen.
Thank you, Garija. And can you guide us a little bit through your application process? Why did you choose this program as opposed to others? What were those deciding factors?
Yeah, so when I first started college, I knew that I wanted to study abroad. So it was something that I've always wanted to do. And it was a little difficult being a cognitive science major because not a lot of programs abroad offer courses in upper division psychology or cognitive science or neuroscience. And so from the get-go, I kind of knew that I wouldn't be able to fulfill any of my cognitive science requirements by going abroad. So I ended up deciding to fulfill my foreign language requirement. And while I was in Italy, I took Italian language 1 and 2, which was great. Another factor was that I was studying abroad with my best friend. So we also had to see which programs fit with both of our majors, both of our schedules. And ultimately the one that fit all of our criteria was the Made in Italy program.
Sense. And you spoke a little bit about fulfilling those UCLA requirements. Can you explain a little bit more about that petition process? Is that something that you worked on before applying, when you were abroad or once you returned?
Yeah, so for starters, I would recommend relying a lot on the study abroad office. Danilo, who's also here, helped me so much figure all of that out. It's been 2.5 years since I studied abroad, but I do remember deciding that I wanted to do Italian language. And I don't think I did the petition process until after the program was over. But I do remember it being very smooth, very quick and easy. There were no complications with that. But I think Italian language is also a pretty straightforward requirement to be, transferred over for credit. So yeah.
Thank you. That's something we want to highlight to students. It is an additional process that students do have to take, but it's fairly simple. Historically, students are very successful in having these courses approved to satisfy those requirements. So thank you. I think that's a very great example. The one thing that students, I like to point out to students is that studying abroad, it really changes your perspective in many ways. Could you explain or give a little bit more about your experience about how studying abroad helped you learn a little bit more about a culture yourself in other ways that you wouldn't have as a tourist?
Yeah, so if you do decide to study abroad and if your study abroad program offers you the option of staying with a host family in whatever country you'll be going to, I 200% recommend doing that. I personally stayed with an Italian host family. It was the cutest older couple. My Italian host mom made 3-course dinners for me every single night. She made homemade gelato, introduced me to so many dishes that you don't commercially find in Italian restaurants and things. They also had this beautiful beach house they took me to one weekend. Their friend owned an olive farm, so he bottled fresh olive oil for me and my best friend. And it's just experiences like that where you get to see parts of the country which you probably wouldn't have seen otherwise as a tourist. But yeah, since I was taking Italian language, they also helped me practice my Italian language. They taught me like weird different nuances that you don't use in formal Italian, but you use more in like slang, I guess you could say. But yeah, that was like the biggest impacting factor for me, was staying with an Italian host family, just like seeing parts of the country, learning parts of the language that I wouldn't have otherwise as a tourist. And I also will say that no matter where you're going, if they don't have a host family option, just try to learn the language, period, because there were so many times in Italy where I felt like the Italians were so grateful for a foreigner learning, you know, their language, and they really appreciate that. And you also want to, right? Like, you're studying abroad, that's kind of the whole point of the experience. So yeah,
it really does go a long way when you're trying to learn the language or try a little bit more to incorporate yourself into that culture. So that's a very good point. On our last question, is there anything that you would recommend to your fellow psychology major department majors? Anything that, whether it's pre-application process, during study abroad, just any tips or recommendations that you have?
yeah, stay on top of it. Like, there are deadlines, there are like requirements that you have to fulfill, and if you are super excited about this experience, like, make sure you're doing everything you can to stay in check with when those things are due, when your documents need to be processed. Make spreadsheets, make lists, whatever works for you. That would be the number one tip, I would say. But also just keep an open mind. Like, you're going to experience things, you're going to learn things that you never thought you would, and that's just kind of the fun of it all. So stay as open-minded as you can. And I would say the last thing, which is maybe a little hilarious, but don't fly American Airlines. I was stranded in an airport for 2 days because my flight got delayed for 2 days. So I arrived to my program 2 days late, which means I missed a lot of the introductory orientation stuff that was happening. And it didn't happen to just me, it happened to a lot of people apparently who flew American Airlines that year. So I don't know what it is, just be safe and be careful. Yeah.